Hello, I'm the Medium Avin, and this is my show. Alright, well, to start out, this is going to be the casual part of the show. This is the, I don't really know what to call it yet, so, hey, I'm going to dress casually for it. And it's really, really hot outside, windows are over there, and, oh dear God, it is a scorcher. Alright, so, I had fun a few weekends ago when I went to a convention. And I also got some interviews. So, from me to you, interviews of webcomics. And who better to start off with than the master of Comedity and finders keepers, Garth Graham.
You're the first one today, I'm sorry.
It's all good, it's all good.
No worries.
Hi, I'm Mike the Mavin, and this time I actually have the mic on. Hey, I'm here with Garth Graham, the awesome creator of the now done webcomic, Comedity, which am I even saying that right?
Yeah, no, you got it right, it's Comedity.
Alright, so I'm saying it right, yeah. And Finders Keepers, which is currently running, and it's awesome, go check it out. Alright, so I have a couple questions today. First off, what made you start Finders Keepers and Comedity?
Well, I started Comedity because, in college, a friend of mine introduced me to webcomics, started me at, said, hey, there's this great comic online called Mega Tokyo, and I was like, oh, alright. I checked it out. Right. And so from there I found a bunch of other phenomenal comics, including a personal favorite of mine at the time, Mac Hall, by Ian McConnell and Matt Boyd, who now do 3-panel Soul, which is also amazing. Anyway, so I got bored one semester and said to myself, man, if Ian can make a comic, surely I can make a comic. And so I just kind of started one up, and lo and behold, people started reading it, and much to my surprise, and so I kept doing it, and it kind of snowballed from there.
That's a little harsh on Ian, though. You're like, if Ian can do it.
No, don't get me wrong. Ian's an amazingly talented guy. Like, he's a phenomenal artist. Like, great guy. But it was kind of one of those things. Like I saw what he and Matt were doing. And I was like, I can do that. Like I can do that. I can draw. I can tell. My sense of humor is not terrible. People laugh at my jokes.
Indeed.
80% of the time. So that's not too bad.
Hey, don't.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And so I figured, there's nothing stopping me, it seems like a fun thing to do, and, so I went and I did it,
So, out of boredom.
Yeah, boredom, and, I needed to kill some time, so yeah.
Alright, the second question is, what are your inspirations, like art, storyline, anything?
Okay, well, I read a lot. I grew up on, like, classic science fiction, a lot of Heinlein, Asimov,
Awesome.
golden age science fiction. Like, that was what I grew up on. And so a lot of that kind of, like, story, that kind of adventure, that kind of, that kind of thing has influenced a lot of my work. Comic and art-wise, possibly my biggest comic influence is actually Phil Folio, who currently does the comic Girl Genius.
I've been meaning to look that up.
It's a good one. It's a great steampunk comic. Definitely worth a look. Before that, he did a whole bunch of different things. He used to work for Dragon Magazine. He did What's New with Phil and Dixie, which gaming humor. He managed to tell one of the best Dungeons and Dragons comics without ever having actually played the game. It's amazing. Like,
oh wow.
Right. So, and his style, the way he captures expressions and his sense of humor, and like he really kind of influenced a lot of my especially my early comic development. On top of that, I mean, Scott Campbell, artist of Danger Girl and a bunch of other things.
Yep, watching my DeviantArt.
Yeah. what's his name? Mark Silvestri, who like the head artist behind like everything Top Cow. Yeah. A lot of that kind of like, you know, classic, classic 80s comics, I guess. In the 90s comics have kind of like influenced a lot of my art. Plus I've gotten a lot of Eastern kinds of influence and a lot of this like New Age mix of things. And so like, it's just, I pull inspiration from a little bit of everywhere.
Yeah, I can definitely see it with the art and everything. Alright, third question. About how long does it take you to make like one of your comics?
Well, scripting can take anywhere from like I can write, especially now that I'm doing a story-driven comic. I can write, you know, half a dozen pages in an afternoon, or it can take me an entire week or a month, depending. You know, I mean that the writing process is a little more ill-defined time-wise. It's less of a process and more of whereas the art is very like I have a method to my madness. So, but artwork-wise, from sketched, from rough thumbnail of the page to finished product, all colored, lettered, and everything, I can do in about 12 hours.
Wow.
They're long hours.
Yeah, 12 hours. It's still good. That's better than what I can do.
Right. It's 12 hours, and I really don't want to do anything the next day.
Okay,
so I usually wind up breaking it down into a couple of days worth, you know, to get a full page done. Like, the way I work these days, I batch things a bit. So like, I'll spend a day to draw pencils, and I'll pencil out 2, 3, 4 pages, and then the next day I'll go back and I'll ink 2, 3, 4 pages, and then color them, and so on and so forth. So.
Let's see. Alright, so here's a big one. Do you ever have any problems with the comic? Like just massive roadblocks that just
yes. All the time. Oh my god, yeah.
I mean, besides the convention.
Well, alright, so conventions, you know, get in the way a little bit of the comic process, just because it takes me away from the whole thing. But they're not that, you know, invasive. But like I will frequently hit maybe I shouldn't say frequently, but I will often hit, you know, some kind of creative block, either in the story of like I know where they are and it's great, but like, and I know where they're supposed to be, but that transition between scenes is just weird and I haven't got that, or I'll be futzing with the artwork and it's just not coming out right, and it's just like, you know, but you know, and so those kind of delays, I mean, they happen. It's part of the whole process, really. You know, you eventually work through it all, and it's amazing in the end. So.
All right. Let's see. All right. Now we're off of the comic because you know. So really, unless anything else you want to mention, like anything that's coming up. That we look forward to?
Oh, all right. Yeah, actually, I got a couple of really big, awesome things coming up. I've got a new website design in the works, which will be going live hopefully in the next couple of weeks. Chapter 6 of Finders Keepers is starting up next Friday. I'm going to be I'm committing myself to being back up to updating twice a week, Tuesdays and Fridays again. And I'm going to be starting up a Kickstarter drive in the next week or so to help raise funds for the first printing of the first trade of Finders Keepers. And so, you know, the prologue and the first 5 chapters are all going to be collected in a gorgeous 160-page volume. And that's going to be really exciting.
You know what? I think next year I'm going to have to pick that up.
You're going to have to.
And actually, one more question about the comic
Sure.
before I go into the convention. All right. So I noticed you have all the different other attributes besides just like death and everything.
Right.
All right. Do you have any idea when you're going to write them into the comic?
I do. All of the 9 powers that be that are going to show up in the comic. So far, we've only seen death, and we've heard mention of a couple of others, but they haven't been introduced in the comic. We've got a couple of them. I don't want to give them which ones away just yet. Are going to be showing up in the next couple of chapters, and the rest of them will show up before the end of it. The trick is that being who they are, they're like the highest power level, beings in the world.
Powers that be.
Right. And so like they're major players, and our heroes are only so high in the gambit. So like they're not taking on gods just yet.
Alright, well, I guess on to the convention.
Sure,
questions.
go
All
for it.
First off, what do you think of the convention?
Of ConnectiCon?
Yeah, just of ConnectiCon in general. What do you think?
I like ConnectiCon. ConnectiCon was...
Don't worry, you don't have to say like good things about them.
No.
It isn't for them.
I like ConnectiCon. Like I've been coming to ConnectiCon since 2004, I think. 2004, 2005, something like that. It's been a long time. ConnectiCon was actually the second con I did running a table. And it was the first con that I did professionally that actually made me feel like I belonged there. The first con that I did was Wizard World Philadelphia, which was a great show. But I was also sitting right next to like I forget the guy's name which is terrible because he's a great guy and an amazing artist. He was the artist behind Spider-Girl. And
now I feel bad because I don't remember.
Right, he was just sitting right next to me. We chatted all weekend, and like it was great, but like super professionals like all around me, and I was just starting out, and I was like, oh man, and I got here, and I was like, wow, everyone was very welcoming of webcomics, and like which I wasn't at the time anyway. This was years ago. I wasn't really getting from from the bigger. Comic book conventions. Webcomics were like, what the hell is that? No one considered being on the web. That's really changed now. But I liked ConnectiCon. ConnectiCon was great. It was a wonderful con to come to, and I've enjoyed coming here for the last 7 years, something like that. And it's been really interesting to see how it's grown and changed. But it's a fairly sizable con, but it manages to retain a lot of its kind of smallish con feel. Like, I know people here, people know me. It's bizarre and kind of awesome.
I would say it's probably about mid-sized con.
Yeah, they're up to like something like 7, 8, 9,000 people. Yeah, I mean it's not like huge like Otakon size or anything like that. God no. But like
I don't think I'd be able to find this place.
No. But it's not a small con anymore by any stretch. But it's still like I don't know. It's like tight knit. If that makes any kind of sense. Like I like it. It's a great show.
All right. Our next question. Well, I should probably. With how much you praise like this con, I have to. I don't know if I should even ask this, but what is your favorite convention to go to?
It's a hard call. ConnectiCon is definitely like the like in my top 3 pick. Like if I had 3 cons that I was only allowed 3. ConnectiCon would be in that group. The other two that are really top notch and I've really enjoyed over the last couple of years have been Animazement in Raleigh, North Carolina, and MTAC out in Nashville, which I kind of went to on a whim, but it turned out to be a lot of fun, and a really great show.
Sorry about that. It's just like I thought you were trying to get.
No, it's all good. It's all good. But I mean, really, there's I don't know that I can really pick one favorite con that stands out among them all. Like there's so many really good shows where like.
And we have individuals falling behind us.
It happens. It's a convention.
Indeed, yeah. Yeah, you did.
But
slippery floor.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's a lot of really great shows.
Yeah, I lost track there for a moment.
That's all right.
Thanks, dude. All right, and I guess I have to ask this because I asked it last year, and you know, I wasn't able to get the audio because my camera sucked back then. What's the one thing that you think people should bring to a convention?
One thing. Oh man, there's like so many things that people need to bring to conventions. You know, soap.
You know what? You can make a list if you wanna.
No, it's alright.
Soap is definitely a big thing.
Right. But aside from like, you know, the things you expect that you need to bring to a convention, you know, like aside from all that, honestly, I would recommend, from an artist standpoint, I would recommend bringing a poster tube. I see so many people walk around, they pick up all this gorgeous artwork because they go through, you know, there's a lot of great artists in the dealers' rooms these days, and they go through the artist alleys who have also, you know, I mean, phenomenal artists and wonderful pieces up there, and they get these huge, gorgeous, you know, posters and prints, and they have no way to transport them, and they never make it home safely, and it's just it's sad. But if you have a tube, you roll it up and you put it in the tube, and it's fine, it's perfect. It goes back up on your wall just the way you bought it. It's beautiful. But you know, that's just me. You know, I'm a bit of a collector of artwork. I know not everyone else is. So.
Yeah, well, I can guarantee right now, my Comedity Volume 1 still in great condition.
Excellent.
You know, near perfect. It has been in my backpack, so you know.
Oh, it's a book. It weathers a little better.
All right. Well, hey, no, that's everything. Thanks.
No problem. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, we're good.
Wow, that was actually really fun. Okay, I'm sorry. I just had a lot of fun doing that interview. I had fun doing each interview, and you know, really though, guys, you know, he offers good advice with the poster tube. Hey, if you go to a convention, bring it. It'll be useful. Now, we must continue. So go to the next video, which I guess would be over whichever way. I don't know. It'll be in one direction. It'll be in the sidebar. Ciao.